interesting to see how much the president makes of it. Economic optimism, whether you look at markets, whether you look at corporate earnings, all that's up, right? And will that be the secret weapon for the president rather than immigration as we head into 2020? Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council President Karen Kerrigan is our next guest, and she joins us now from Washington. I guess the only thing might be that if you look in your neck of the woods with small business, there are some warning signals, some would argue, in some of these surveys. So what's really going on in the economy, do you think?
Well, the economy remains very strong. I mean, look at the latest consumer optimism numbers, consumer confidence, they're strong. Lots of job opportunities, as we've seen. So there is some strength in the economy. Has been a little downtick, if you will, in small business optimism from the indexes and surveys that have been coming out recently. But you got to remember that where they are right now in terms of optimism is still above the historical average. So things look good, but you're right. There are some uncertainties. There are some issues. And I mean, so the business community does want the president does want some progress on some issues that will fuel this optimism and growth in the economy. What
are you referring to? I mean, at the beginning it was tax cuts, it was deregulation, and if anything, some of the reports over the weekend indicate maybe there's more deregulation to come from this administration.
Well, there's a host of issues. I mean, from the small business perspective, one of the big issues is health insurance costs and the cost of health coverage. Certainly the administration has done a lot on the regulatory side that will lower the costs and produce more competition in the health insurance market, but there's going to be lag time on that. So, for example, there are some good bipartisan bills that will have an immediate impact on the cost of health insurance by repealing or extending the moratorium on the health insurance tax. Access to capital issues is another a big issue for many startups and growth-oriented firms. And there are some bipartisan bills that would address that issue. And then tax simplification. I mean, obviously, we did receive some tax relief. It is temporary. I wouldn't say necessarily that simplified the tax code, but there are opportunities from a bipartisan perspective on tax simplification. So we need to continue, policies need to continue to fuel the momentum that we're experiencing right now, and also other issues, the tariffs and trade issues, and passing USMCA. Yes, definitely.
Especially on the China front. I mean, what are you rooting for here? Just a deal, kind of at any cost, or the right type of deal? I mean, because market-wise, we talk to market, investors all the time, and it just seems like people are just rooting to get this thing out of the way. But sometimes you get it out of the way, you don't get a great deal. You got to revisit it not too far down the line with China.
Well, details matter. I mean, from a small business perspective, I mean, they do dominate trade in all these countries. 80 to 85% of the businesses that trade to China, Mexico, Canada have 50 employees or yes. I mean, intellectual property is a key issue, right? I mean, getting the Chinese to address that, to put together a framework and actually mean it, that would mean a lot for entrepreneurs and small businesses, and I think would be really a great place to start. There's obviously other issues, but the intellectual property issue is huge. Yeah,
big issue, also a tough issue, which is why it could take a while, but we'll see. Maybe they'll come up with something here in the next go-around. They're still talking this week, apparently. Karen, good to see you. Thank you very much for coming on.
Great to see you, Connell. Thanks.
Karen Kerrigan. Now,